Hey everyone, how's it going? It is Nick and Mike from Vant Trading here, and we are here to give you a weekly stock chart watch list. Both of us will be going over our top 10 breakout stocks that we are going to be watching this week. We think that these 10 stocks are either undervalued, going to be putting in some moves, or maybe they already have, and they're going to be some great second day plays. We'll also go over a couple stocks that some of our traders have given us. And we'll give you some market analysis. So you got something to watch going into the week. It'll help you be a little more prepared. And yeah, let's rock and roll. So Mike, I'll let you kind of lead this show, talk about the SPY, talk about some of your stocks. What are you watching this week and what's in play for you?
Okay, great. Let me share my screen. I think it's going to be an interesting week coming up. I really do. Let me see here. Okay. All right. So first stock I want to talk about, not Tesla. I'm going to go into the market. Let's talk about the SPY and where we see the market sitting. This is the daily chart. Now, when we go through analysis like this, really, this is the type of analysis we go through when we're looking for stock plays and stuff like that. So the key is that you want to do a top-down analysis. So I always start with the daily chart because that's what most traders look at. SPY clearly up in a bullish mode, but before we even analyze the daily chart, I like to click through and look at the monthly chart. Monthly chart on the SPY looks pretty good. I mean, if you look at the monthly chart, it kind of gives you a different type of perspective. We just had this 1 month of really consolidation and pullback, and we're back in consolidation zone. So the monthly chart looks pretty good on the SPY. If we go to the weekly chart, same thing, weekly charts in a full breakout. And we have one of the bigger weekly bars that we've seen since, back in July. So not bad as far as a green bar is concerned. So I like that a lot. So getting us back to the daily, this was the consolidation. And again, this bar right here where we topped out up here back in the early beginning of September, and then we had this bar and brought us down into pullback mode, and then they broke through here and took us down to the really consolidation and correction mode. And if you look down here, it really came into a nice strong area of support. We rebounded up through here, and really, Nick, look at this chart. If you look at the left side of this chart, how many days we spent in this area compared to the right side of the chart, kind of same number of days.
Yeah, I think that makes it a pretty clean inverse head and shoulders there. It's the market didn't waste any time in there. It got itself going, and despite some headlines knocking us back down a couple times while we were in there, we managed to quickly regain our footing and keep moving up. So.
Yeah, if you look here, I mean, this is as clean as it gets. Even distribution. We're in full breakout mode again. Again, the only thing that kind of worries me at the start of the week is we are 3 bars in, with 3, gap up days here in a row. So we are a little bit extended, but still, I like exactly where we are. So let's go look at the SPY on the, can you see my chart here, Nick, with my person? Okay, great. I just want to make sure. And, if we kind of zoom in here on the hourly chart, looks pretty good. Like I said, we are pretty extended. So what I'd like to have seen a little bit of a pullback, maybe a little bit of a pullback on Monday would be nice going in, but it is still whippy with the headlines, but I like that. We go back into the 1 minute action on Friday. Pretty positive action here. We had this downtrend here from the gap up, popped up over the 15-minute high, and really kind of held this level here. So very strong action. We're currently up in the pre-market. So a lot of that doesn't really matter though until Monday morning. We'll have to see where we are.
Yeah, absolutely. And, again, a lot of it will also depend on if we get any headlines going in, especially with what we ended the week on, which was a lot of tweet storms from President Trump talking about stimulus and wanting to give a revised deal and then not giving a deal. And so we'll see. Well, I like it, though.
Yeah, the biggest thing to remember, guys, is that we're having this positive action without a stimulus deal.
Yeah.
So, I think the headlines will whip us around, but ultimately, I think, we'll recover from any negative headlines because the market is pretty much priced in new stimulus. QQQs on a daily chart in breakout mode as well, looking nicely there. Small caps, IWM, finally, you know, had been the laggard, finally breaking out. Still hasn't made an all-time high, but it's feverishly trying to catch up to the rest of the market. So small caps up, everything's been up. Oil has been up. Let me see if I can pull up the oil chart. Yeah, oil's getting back up above 40, and that's positive for the market. We need oil at 40. So I'm going to get into my stocks now. And I don't really have them in any particular order, but let's go through. The first one was the one that I held overnight on Thursday into Friday. It's Grow Generation. I call it Grow Dog for some reason. It kind of fits right in there with Datadog, and I can't get it out of my mind. But
Yeah.
on the daily chart, look at this consolidation in here. You know, really nice consolidation. And I'm going to try this. If this chart's screwed up, I apologize. But if I go to my Bollinger Bands, you know, you can kind of see, you know, what you want to look at. I don't use this often, but it's kind of this squeezed action is what you like to see because you tend to get big moves out of there. Kind of got a little squeezed action in here, and we're starting to get a move out of here. So that's what I like. MACD turned green. RSI is really strong, not above 70 yet, so it still gives a lot of room to grow. No pun intended. All the moving averages are pointing up. If I go to a top-down approach, look at the monthly chart, beautiful looking monthly chart. Doesn't get any better than that. And again, remember, we're still in maybe the beginning to middle of October on this month, so it's hard to make any analysis on volume yet, but it still looks pretty strong. And then I guess we come in here on the weekly chart, you see that consolidation we're talking about and the breakout. So all systems are go for Grow Generation. I like this stock going forward. I really do. So let me see if I can move over here to the intraday chart on Friday. You know, let me kind of zoom. I can't zoom out, but anyhow, we were gapping up in the pre-market. You can see the opening print here went up. They tried to pull it back a little bit. Went up. I know you played this. I played it very well. Made money on it, and then just pretty much consolidated the rest of the day. Did get weak going into the close, so you know, maybe a little pullback is in order, but I like GRWG going into this. For me, going into Monday. You know, it's already gapping up pre-market a little bit, so we'll see where it is Monday morning. I would like to see, let me pull up the hourly here and see if this shows you. I'm not sure where those lines came from. Apologize about that, but you know, really right here, you know, as long as it stays above this yellow line, 1737, I'm really liking this. It's kind of my top bottom level support. Yeah, it's still, you know, still in an uptrend. So I would like to see break this 19 level, and then I'd be definitely positive going into GRWG going forward. So let's go into back to the daily chart here, and I'm going to bring up my next stock, which is RKT Rocket. Okay. This is daily chart on Rocket. It's too new to really go any further.
The weekly chart.
Oh, this is the weekly. Sorry about that. Thank you. This is the daily chart on Rocket. We saw the weekly chart. I really like this right here. Beginning of October, it got a positive news catalyst. Started showing some action. What I like about this action on Friday, even though it wasn't great action for a trade, is that it held above this 2244. Okay, so I like the fact that it held above there in that range. So I think Rocket, you know, I'm looking for that for the traders to come back in and take us somewhere. So we come back to the 1 minute Friday, like I said, weak action. But the problem is, and you talk about this a lot, Nick, when stocks gap up and buyers exhaust themselves, what tends to happen?
It just tends to come on back down.
Yeah, it comes back down, and I think that's kind of what Rocket got caught up to. It was up, you know, through 22, through 23, up into 24, and that's a pretty big move pre-market for Rocket, and I think the buyers just exhausted. I mean, there was really no additional news on Rocket. I did get an upgrade, a price target, but I mean, you know, I didn't really see any justification. If we go to the 1 hour chart in here, I'd be looking at break of 24.14 in here. And I think if it can break this 24.14, then it's got some good room to run. And Rocket's one of those stocks that can really go. What do you think of Rocket, Nick?
I like it. I like it. I played it on the first kind of run up it had earlier in the year, about a month or so ago, and when it finally baselined itself and is catching some bids, so I think it's pretty decent. And look, with that, as strong as housing's been, something like that is going to be a pretty decent play, I think. So.
Yeah, I think so too. I think so too. All right, my next stock, and this one gives me heartburn because it's like all these stocks give me heartburn because I've not been trading well lately and missing some of these deals. But Chewy, here's the daily chart on Chewy. Breakout mode. I did trade this. I'll get into that a little bit. But I'm not really get into the trades on this show, but more future where we're going. Top-down approach, just look at the monthly chart. Monthly chart looks nice. So, we're kind of sitting up, you got this little thing, this little high wick here, kind of like blow off top-ish type thing on the monthly chart, but still doing the hot dog pattern, Nick. So,
Yeah.
still strong. Weekly, though, looks really nice. Look at the weekly chart, man. Weekly chart looks really nice. Again, we're not even halfway through, and you already got almost probably about 80% of the volume that you had the prior week. So you got traders that were into that, and that was pretty nice. But let's go to the daily chart. Daily chart in full breakout mount. I love this, above all the moving averages. Looking good. So I didn't trade this well on Tuesday. Here's the hourly chart. Right here at 59.36 is that level, clear level of support. If you're thinking about getting into it right now in the pre-market where it is today, it's kind of, gapping, wedging up there. So if it stays like that, I'm going to like that. I got caught up in this chop. Chewy's one of those late bloomers that kind of took off here, and it gave you a nice wedge into this level here. For me, it's going to be about, how do you trade this? It's going to depend upon where the stock is pre-market. I'm obviously going to be looking at Friday's highs. The 61.85 is going to be the key. I may dabble in this one pre-market if it gets going. I don't know. I didn't like this choppy action in the beginning of the day, but I think Chewy, if we go back to the daily chart here, I like Chewy. I think Chewy definitely is on a course, at least the 65, the first stop, and then I think you can get back up here towards the 70s. What do you think, Nick?
Yeah, absolutely. I was definitely watching it after the earnings came out during that big drop in early September. So I was definitely looking for that kind of dip buy opportunity, and I think you're definitely getting it here. And with everything else that's breaking out in the market right now, I think that I really like Chewy. I like Chewy as a company. I like Chewy all around. So I'm with you on that one.
Yeah. All right. Next one I like is Square. Square, we talk about this every day, every week, every show, whatever show we're on. Square is one of my top fundamental companies that I love. It's kind of been slowing down. It's not been a really good trader. Volume's kind of tapered off a little bit. You and I haven't traded it well the last couple of days. So it's still been up in open air. And if we go to the monthly, another strong month. Again, we're not even in the middle of the month, so still looking good. The week that just ended was a strong week, very strong week, better than the week before. So, I think Square is on a collision course with 200. You like to talk, Nick, about those, round numbers, and sometimes stocks get to be a magnet to those. So I think it's on a collision course with 200. It's kind of slowed down. The RVOL the last 3-4 trading days just hasn't been there. So and that's what's made it kind of a choppy trader. And if we go here to the intraday chart, you can kind of see the chop that I got chopped up in. But again, it was kind of one of those late bloomers and just finally took off. But the volume, you can even see it down here. You don't even need to look at the RVOL. I know it says 2.57 here, but that's not what it was through here. It was pretty low. So I always talk about volume. You got to have volume to really give you some good trader. You need traders involved. But look at this action. Jeez. Wow. I haven't seen it.
Nice steady
move, steady climb. It's kind of smoothed out a little bit. Wow, look at that. Nice move. It's hard to believe I would lose money in a stock chart like this.
Yeah.
But it is what it is. But Square, yeah, definitely should. It's going to be on my list. It always is on my list. Another stock that's always on my list is Roku. You know, looking at this chart here, it's, you know, full breakout mode. Yesterday had, you know, not yesterday, Thursday had some increased volume, kind of gapped it up strong on I think it was a $255 price target increase by Needham. I think that's who the analyst was. So, you know, it gapped it up strong. I'm surprised that kind of news gapped it up like that. But, you know, yesterday was a rest day, so maybe this is going to start consolidating in here. If we go to the monthly chart, if you're just curious, the monthly chart on Roku it looks nice, man. As you would expect, weekly chart, as you expect, stair stepping up nicely. So you got to keep Roku on your screen if you're a day trader, because it does tend to trade well. If we go back, this is the hourly again, kind of like Square. Look at this, Nick. Wow.
Yeah.
But you do see right here from Thursday through Friday flattening out, right? Flattening out. Those two blue lines. You know, 228.70, 76, 228 in this area here, 33 is going to be the, you know, level. I'd like to see a nice little break there. It's probably where I'll be looking at, but, you know, choppy action on Friday, kind of, you know, didn't have as much volume as you typically would expect. Kind of a rest day, wouldn't you say?
Sure, absolutely. And that's kind of what the market was in general for a lot of the day. So sometimes they just need to breathe, take a breather, and you need to see that capitulation in the stock.
Okay, let's head over and take a look at Beyond Meat. That's the, you know, if there's a trio of stocks, it's those. Let's look at the daily chart first. Beyond Meat. Sorry about a lot of lines on here, guys. You know, Beyond Meat, all the moving averages pointing up nicely, and you know, in open air, getting some dojis up here, kind of, you know, losing some steam, I guess. If we were to look at the Bollinger Bands, it's at the very top end of the Bollinger Bands. RSI is at extreme, so just be careful. We're definitely extended on that. If we were to look at the monthly chart, this was a recent IPO about a year ago, a little over a year ago, I think, and still haven't gotten to the highs. So this one's got some more room to run. What do you think?
Yeah, absolutely, especially with all the headlines that it's getting lately.
Yeah, it's a storied stock. It's got some room to run. So even though it's getting a little bit tired, weekly chart you can see here, it needs to me hold this 183.17. I like to see it hold in here and then kind of rest a little bit and then maybe make the next leg up. That would be a nice thing to see on that. But Beyond Meat, and you can kind of see with these dojis kind of. It's definitely starting to take that pause. Yesterday, kind of dropped from the gap up and just stayed down, rested. The only reason it was green doji was because it was gapped up. Again, like the rest, nice yesterday, just really nice week. Look how it just stayed up here. And now, like Roku, is starting to flattening out in here. So, look for this bottom level support. This 189 level is the level I look for support, and 197.50 obviously is the level on a breakout. And I think this one's headed to 239 towards the high. So that's what I think of Beyond Meat. You kind of move over here to Neo. Neo is the next one I kind of want to look at. And Neo. Okay, this is the daily chart on Neo. I was in this stock overnight on Thursday night into Friday morning. I thought for sure it was going to complete this breakout, even though it closed back under the zone. Interesting stock. This is another good stock. They had September. They had positive, better than expected vehicle deliveries. But again, look at the monthly chart. Boom, 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 boom. I think it's time for it to rest a little bit. I mean, this thing's come a long way. It's come from $2 to 23 within a short period of time. It hasn't it's been about 3 months. So this thing may be in a little bit of a rest mode too here. And again, you can kind of see on the weekly chart, it did break out of this consolidation, but it gave us another kind of a red rest consolidating week. But what's interesting about Neo, it doesn't really have two of those bars in a row, does it, Nick? It kind of, maybe we're expecting just
Yeah,
needs that week of rest, and it's going to get going here.
oh,
So,
sure.
yeah, so Neo definitely traded like it was kind of tired. Um, you can kind of see where it was before it broke out above this little channel. This is where I got in. I thought it was going to get into its breakout. I actually made a little bit of money on it holding it, but it's because I got out in some strength. I really, it wasn't a day trading play. It was supposed to be a longer term hold play, but I think maybe it's got a little bit more rest in here. It did hold up okay. Like it didn't close down by its lows, 21.32, kind of held at 21.50. So that's, or 21, yeah, 21.50, 21.48 in that range here. So that's not bad. It's gapping a little bit. It's kind of maybe where it closed. So I'm going to look and see what happens with this stock on Monday. Got to look at the RVOL on this one. It did get some volume in here, and I did, I was trading in here, but not enough. It just couldn't hold. It kind of faded towards the end. So right here for me, Neo, I like to see it get above Friday's highs, and then I'll be all over it again, and I'll probably establish maybe a little bit longer term position. Okay, going to the next stock that I have on my list. JMIA. So this is a new one. You can let's go to the daily, kind of set it up a little bit. Broke out here on Thursday, which got me interested. Kind of broke out of this nice little cup above its 200, and the rest of its moving averages. Had a nice strong day. Fridays was another nice strong day. I made some good money into it, gapping it up into the morning and to the highs, and then of course faded out, needed a little bit of a rest. This one's not as pretty of a chart, in a monthly chart. I don't know. I guess it's kind of like held its consolidation here. Maybe it's starting to run back up to this 16 level, and then go a little bit further there. And then the weekly, had a nice week yesterday, as you can suspect. And the daily is what it is. So going into the intraday, kind of played it up into this gap up. So right now, if we go to the 1 hour, you see those purple bars. That means it's extremely overbought, and then now it's worked off that that overboughtness, kind of 50%. Pulled back to the 50% level maybe of that run up there. So I'd like to see it get back above this 1088, and I'll be all back in on JMI. So I'm going to keep it on my screen, see how it acts pre-market. This is one that's a former runner and can run. So I definitely like that one. Two other stocks I want to talk about real quick. I'll switch it over to Nick. Datadog. This one's it's going to give me heartburn because we watched this all through this area.
Mm-hmm.
And look what it did on Friday. It just, absolutely exploded it. We have a steadfast rule. We don't chase stocks, especially on that first day. So once I missed it. But monthly chart look at this, man. Nice stair step. These highs are all pretty orderly going up. It's the bottom of the monthly chart that's a little bit, wanky a little bit, I guess. But weekly chart, beautiful weekly chart. Let a little cup breakout the week before. And that's why, look, if you look at the charts this way, it kind of gives you a different perspective. And, last week, we should have been all over this stock from the beginning, just based upon this breakout. But, if you go back to the daily chart, sometimes it doesn't give you that feel. You think, oh, it did break out, but, maybe it's too extended. But, had a good week, had a good weekend. I think it's going to have a good second week. If we look at the Bollinger Bands, it's not, kind of closed below, not into the wave. So it is purple overbought, but still everything's looking pretty strong. If we go to the intraday, and let's look at the hourly chart, looking nice. This is my level of support here, this 108.22. Clear level of support. If it would get back down there, I'd definitely be all over it, but I don't think it will. I think a break above 114.55. I think that's the next level for me on Datadog. But as far as my, my entry right here, it's that 114.52, which is the high of Friday. So let's see how it works. What do you think, Nick? Are you going to be looking at this stock again?
Yeah. I think I'll give it another run. I was watching along with you, and I just didn't have it on my list just Friday. So I'll definitely keep that on something that I check every morning to see what we're doing and where we are.
Cool. All right, and the last stock I have is Workhorse. I mean, you know, come on, it's short squeeze of short squeeze breaking out, man. Let's go to the monthly chart. Monthly chart extremely extended. I mean, this Workhorse has gone from 49 cents to 30. I mean, what a run, man! What a run.
Yeah.
So I just, you know, I can see why maybe it's getting some action from the short sellers, which is, you know, we'll talk about that in a minute with what's going on now. And again, you know, the weekly chart, you know, had a good week yesterday. It was kind of, you know, 2 weeks prior, we're starting to fall back a little bit. Thought maybe it would come back into this consolidation, but no. What I like about this stock is it held this level here, this 22.91. I like the fact that it held that, which gives me some thinking that it could be going back up to highs there on the daily chart. So I really like that there. And, you know, the action, you know, let's look at Workhorse here. The action on yesterday, you know, it kind of just exploded out of this little base. I played it all up in here into the close. It really started running and had a lot high R-vol right in here. I mean, it was just chopping through some shares. So, and look, it's already up to this level up here. If we go to the hourly, see if we can. I got this right here. This DS chart's right. Yeah. So kind of breaking up to this 28, and the hourly chart gives you a little interesting level here. I mean, it looks interesting here. So it could keep on breaking above this level. Yeah, it's showing a little bit over or extremely overbought. Yellow is a little bit overbought on my the way my charts work. Purple's extremely overbought. Last time it was that purple kind of pulled back into this zone here. So that is something to take in consideration. But this has a news catalyst, Nick. You want to talk about that a little bit?
You talking about poor Fuzzy Panda?
Yeah.
They came out with a hit piece on it, talking about it's a fraud, it's a bigger fraud than Nikola, yada yada yada, and you know, it had a brief dip on that. You can see kind of the sell off there, and it since has rallied. I don't know if anyone's just not taking it seriously, or if we've had enough hit pieces in the last month that you know, eventually kind of the hype from them will fade. I haven't looked at the hit piece. I've never heard of Fuzzy Panda, so I can't speak to that either. But yeah, that was just kind of what we had there.
This is something here to be concerned about, though. I mean, last time it was this overbought, it, you know, it popped, you know, pierced through a little bit and popped right back down to this level. So looking at the hourly chart, I'm going to be careful of that right there. So we'll see what happens. Again, when it got overbought up here towards this level, kind of pulled back down. So, you know, that's the only thing I got to look at right now. So, but it does, I do think you got a little bit of a short squeeze going on. So that's something to take consideration. All right, that's it for my stocks. I do want to real quick, Jimmy, one of our traders came back in with, he sent me 3 stocks there for you and me to analyze for him. So let me go back to the daily chart. ALXN, pharmaceutical company.
You're on the weekly chart.
Yeah, let me get back on the daily here. So here's the daily chart. I kind of I looked at it a little bit. You know, it broke out. It's broken out of this little consolidation pattern. Nice little level. Let's look at the monthly chart. You know, it's a nice little breakout, I guess, of this flat top level here.
Yeah.
On the monthly chart and the weekly chart. You know, again, kind of breaking out of an important level here to get into this chop and consolidation. So, as far as the top down here, what's your opinion of ALX?
I mean, I like it. You know, we're finally over some of the big kind of indicators and resistance that it's been facing for a while. It's steadily uptrending, and it's kind of flagging up here. So long as it doesn't start making new lows here and start returning back down there, I think it looks like a pretty decent one. Volume's always been pretty steady, and it's clearly a real company. It's a real stock, you know, so it's got that going for it. But I think I like it. I do like this one in a long-term kind of look.
Yeah, I do too. If we go pull up you can see this consolidated period we saw on the daily chart. You know, 120, 121.71 in here. That's kind of the you know, that range here is where I'd be looking at support. So I think it's still got some positive motion. I think Jimmy wanted to know if it's kind of some time to take some profits and stuff like that. I think you can still keep going, to be honest with you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so this nice little pop. I tell you, I would have took some profits into this nice little pop though. Not sure if it had a news catalyst, but you know,
Mhm.
no dead. New volume pop, dead. So just be careful with it. But I think it's got some room to go, if you ask me. It's probably going to consolidate still up in this area up here. The other one you gave me, which is actually typically on my list, AMD. And I know this chart's going to look funky, so let me kind of, I knew it was going to pop up like that. So
That's not too bad.
let me, there you go, a little bit better. So AMD kind of came up to this level, and the reason it came off my list was because it popped back down, right?
Hmm.
Kind of got rejected up here. I like the semiconductors. I like AMD. Now did they have their day? They had their AMD,
They
their
had one of their first days for their CPU product. They have another one, I believe, later in October for their GPU product as well. So they have two events this month that are talking about kind of their next generation of chips and such. But they did have one of them, and it was pretty good apparently.
so this is still in consolidation mode. It could have been that good because they have kind of, I guess, folded that. Maybe to sell the news type thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And well, also remember they do have that rumor that they are buying XLNX
Oh,
for, I
yes,
believe
that's
it
what
was
it
like,
was. That's what it was.
yeah, that's a pretty big headline. I didn't see if we got any confirmation on that, but you had a lot of arbitrage traders probably putting on a short on them and buying XLNX just in case to
Yeah,
capture a possible
thanks
widespread.
for reminding me on that.
Yeah.
That's exactly what that drop was. So
Yeah, so I like AMD. I like AMD as a company and I like the chart.
yeah, I do too. It's one of my favorite companies from a technical basis, fundamental basis, excuse me. Looking here, this, so this may be a dip buying opportunity. The problem is there's a lot of consolidation going on,
Sure.
and you have an arbitrage situation. And so if it is buying the company, it was only a rumor, right? That they're
I believe
mentioning it
so.
was, yeah, it wasn't that they are buying it, but they're looking into it. So that, but if they do wind up, the problem is traders look at an arbitrage situation. Typically, the company that is acquiring will sell off, and the acquiring company, the company that they're acquiring will go up. So, and that's what you saw on Friday on this news. So, could be a dip buying opportunity. The question is, when's that going to stop? The selling, if there is selling, 79.15 is the level of support I'm looking at. For me, a break back above this 87.20 level is what I like. Jimmy was asking, well, above 84 bullish. What do you think, Nick? I'll let you, is above 84 bullish on this stock here? I mean, you're talking this level. If I go back to the hourly.
Yeah. I mean, you can't be super confident until we can get back over kind of like that 87.50ish or so on the daily, that resistance that we're
Yeah.
seeing. But I do like it. If we can kind of stay here, put in kind of a higher low, start making our way back up here. I don't want us to obviously roll back over, start moving lower into this whole range that we're in, but I think so. I think so. We're about to bounce. We almost bounced off the 50-day simple moving average perfectly. So at this point, I would, if you want to be a little anticipatory, I think 84 would be a good level. But you got
Yeah.
to
I
realize
mean,
that that's kind of prior to breaking. That's a little more
that's a
anticipatory. But
great point. We kind of almost bounced off this 21 EMA, the 9 EMA, which currently is sitting at 83.69. So yeah, you know what? 84 would be, on my list, 84 above this 9 EMA would be where I'd start getting bullish on this. So yeah, without a doubt. But ultimately, you're looking for a breakout of this stock. I'd like to see it get above this 87.35. But yeah, 84 above the 9 EMA and would be good for me. And then this is, I'm going to let you talk about this stock, Nick, because I know it was one of the ones on your list, I believe. Jimmy's a big Novaks guy.
yeah,
Let me fix the chart before you start having conniptions here
yeah.
as far as everybody's.
Thank you.
Well, I tell you what, I'm just clear drawing set, and that's the way we're going to do it.
Yeah, so I like NVAX. Well, okay, let me rephrase. I don't like any of the vaccine names really, NVAX, Myrna, Bntx, and it was going to be some of the stocks that I talk about in my watch list. But it's
Look at
I
that.
do like the price action. Yeah, I like that we're coiling and we're getting ready to break out of this kind of descending, consolidating, and we have some resistance ahead of us. You've got a lot of resistance ahead of us, but as long as we can hold our footing, I think it could be a good play. Hell, even if it fails this and starts rolling towards 100, I think you've got a really good short opportunity as well. But it is in like a really good, clean kind of tightening action. So yeah, I actually was playing it last week with some calls, got a little bit of small profits. It didn't get any volume under it. That is probably the biggest issue, is the volume's dried up on this one in particular.
Yeah.
So if this one's going to be in play, the volume's going to need to be there first of all. And you've got some resistance ahead of it. 120 is the 50-day simple moving average. It hasn't been over that one since August, since our big run. So that would be probably your big lid on it. But if we can get over that, I think it has a lot of potential. If we crack and fail and get below 100, I think you've got a lot of potential on the downside as well.
Look at that hourly chart, man. Look at that.
Yep. Yep.
That's perfect. We love this type of action. So you got to just see which way it's going to break. This typically breaks to the upside, but you got to see which way it's going to break. Because going back to the daily chart, for me, it's above the EMAs, which is positive, but they're all kind of congested in this area. So you need to see which way the stock's going to break. Yeah, so I know you and me, we traded these a lot in the beginning of this whole pandemic and through the summer, and I think we've kind of got burnt out on these stocks, to be honest with you.
Yep.
But Jimmy's done a good job with it. So I'm going to let you take over the screen, Nick, and get into your stocks. So let's get a good analysis of your 10 stocks.
Sure thing. If you pass the screen over to me.
Yeah, sorry about that. All right, I just stopped screening.
There you go. Okay, so all right, stocks that I'm watching going into this week, because I think we have a little bit of opportunity with some of these breakouts. First one that I'm watching, and I called this out pretty much. Some of these, if you watch our Vant podcast, you'll recognize some of these names from ones that I call out. But Zoom is the first one. Obviously has been a pandemic monster, running crazily and has gone absolutely bananas, going up to 500. I think that this week is going to be very telling for it. We've had like this very clean kind of tightening, and I've mentioned that $500 is our line in the sand, unable to hold above it every time. Well, now we're starting to kind of ramp up and go into it. We've had a slew of headlines last weekend. I believe Facebook said they're adding Zoom to their portal. They've also gotten some price target increases and so on. So they're actually still kind of holding up here. Now, the thing that I didn't like about them is that they weren't running with a stock like Peloton that was continuing to make new highs, continuing to run, and those two are kind of hand in hand, your quintessential quarantine plays. But now they're finally starting to break out here. So I think Zoom is going to give you either, all right, well, we're breaking out, we're going above 500, here comes the short squeeze, or we're going to fail this 500, and all of those longs are now going to get flushed out. Right now it's obviously looking like a long. If I kind of zoom out to an hourly, you can see kind of this break that we're about to conduct. So this is really what I'm going to be watching. I want to see us get over 500, and if we get over 500, I think if we can hold our footing, I think Zoom will be playing catch up on that one. But I definitely like Zoom on the chart. So I'll be keeping an eye on that one. And it's one that we did play for a while all through here, especially after earnings here. But now we haven't traded this in a while because it's been pretty quiet. We did get a little bit of a volume spike here on the green day on Friday. So I'm hoping that can continue. So we'll
awesome.
See. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, if you pull up the hourly chart on Zoom, it kind of
Sure.
gives you a nice looking look at that thing, man. It's kind of like it's kind of like Novak's was, where it's it's kind of wedging in there. So usually look at that day on Wednesday, man. Usually don't see a day like that on Zoom. Wednesday and Thursday, just very tight action.
Mm-hmm.
And that's tight action for Zoom from what we've seen at trade. So
yeah.
And even Friday. So it's getting ready to do something.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. So I'm definitely keeping an eye on Zoom. Another one is Overstock. I keep mentioning this one because I'm waiting for this one to break out. We were in, at this point, we were in kind of this nice kind of tightening range, this nice tightening kind of consolidation from these descending highs.
And then we had that breakout.
And then we had this breakout, and now we're kind of in a channel, which is interesting. 50-day simple moving average is our lid.
Yeah, and you had a great call, because I didn't even notice that the other day, and you pointed out on the show. It is got a lid on it. So now that's the next thing. But what I'm concerned about is, we had that break of that channel and it didn't do anything.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so every time it breaks out of this, it tries to break this, we've failed. So I'm keeping an eye on that one for sure. And you know, if we can get over this, I think you get a nice squeeze back up through the hundreds. I think we at least will test 100, but it's gotta get up there. It's got to get the umph. The volume kind of dropped off after this first initial spike on the channel breakout. So if volume could come back in, I think we could get ourselves get some decent footing here. Hourly looks pretty good. We're still holding higher. We've been holding higher pretty steadily over the weeks. So that's still working in our favor. Now I need us to get back over kind of some of these highs here, this 84, 84.50
Yes.
range. And then I think we could get a little bit of opportunity on that one. They caught a couple upgrades last week. Wedbush made them outperform. A couple other things that we'll be keeping an eye on, stuff like that. So we'll see on that one. Another one I'm watching, and I played a couple call options on this one, was Baba. Played some calls in here. I sold out yesterday. Made a little bit. It didn't make as much, mainly because there were some China concerns that were really keeping a lid on us on this one. And this is your biggest risk if you ever play a stock like this. Obviously, an anti-China U.S. headline will always hurt something like this. Last week, they had a slew of headlines, unusual options activity. They're entering a joint venture with someone. They're taking some stakes in some other companies, and it's just been a really strong stock. I really like this on the daily. I think we're kind of poised to, if we can claim and hold, this is $300, which is obviously a pretty big psychological level. I think if we can claim and kind of hold this level and start moving higher, I think you can get a really nice move. So we'll see. We'll see. We bounced off the 50 pretty nicely. So we've got some
I like that
steam ahead of
daily
us.
chart.
Yeah, yeah, and it looks decent on the hourly. We're still kind of holding up, and we're holding kind of yesterday, or sorry, Friday was pretty much a flag right at this $300 level. So I think we'll know pretty quickly in the week whether this one's ready to go or not. But I like this kind of little flag we're doing right at the highs here. I think this is a pretty good look. But again, headline prone, got to be careful, because if Trump amps up his anti-China rhetoric going into the elections, that would not be positive, obviously. One stock that we have been trading that I'm definitely still keeping an eye on is Docusign. Docusign is one that hasn't quite caught up with the rest of the breaking out stocks and the breaking out cloud stocks. They caught a couple key upgrades this week. Morgan Stanley gave them a pretty big upgrade and was touting them pretty heavily. They're a work from home name, they're a cloud-based name, and they obviously have this wonderful level. We thought we were getting the breakout, not last week, I believe, but the week before. We really thought we were going to get that. Couldn't quite hold itself up here, but we haven't gone away yet. We haven't cracked back down towards these moving averages. So so long as we hold up in this flag, if we can break this, I think we start pushing back up into kind of the meat of this range up here after kind of this earnings blow off. So this is going to be something I'm keeping an eye on for sure.
It had some good action in the early morning to about 12 o'clock on Friday. It looked like it was going to go, like Datadog was going to go, and it just kind of faded off from there with the rest of the market. It was Friday. So, and again, a lot of traders left, for Friday, still some of the weather was a little bit nicer on Friday. So, you had some traders probably leaving the desk. So this may be a good dip buying opportunity, and it may be ready to go.
Yeah, absolutely. So keeping an eye on that one. Another one that I'm keeping an eye on is Walmart. I know we've been talking about this one. Can also be considered maybe a stimulus play. We're holding up pretty nicely here, consolidating pretty nicely right on this flag. Obviously had this massive run up along with the rest of the market. Came back pretty steadily, found a really nice baseline buying at this 135-ish. Really kind of caught itself. And look, Walmart's not going anywhere. Walmart had a lot of big headlines. They've got that Amazon Prime competitor now. They've been doing really well apparently, and they're hiring more people in Canada and a couple other countries where they're stationed. So looking pretty good. It's going to be pretty good with stimulus. Biggest concern right now is the lack of volume and lack of participation, but we are kind of cup and handling on this daily, and I think if we can kind of start breaking out, we'll probably push back up towards these highs, especially if we get positive headline passing or stimulus passing or anything like that. We're kind of starting to baseline up here, and look, on Monday, if we break this 143, it might be worth watching right off the bat, because we might get a little push up higher here.
No, I like Walmart, and if you can pull up a BIGC, I called this out on the show. It's another version of look at that chart. That's another one that is an online retailer, kind of the baby Amazon, they call it. Just IPO'd this year, and it's kind of been on a steady march up with the same type of stimulus types of hopes.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So definitely keep an eye on those two. Another one I am watching is IPOB. I'd like to have a SPAC on this list because SPAC mania has been a thing this year, and it continues to be. Those blank check companies that are used to acquire someone and go public that way. This is an electric vehicle charging SPAC, and I like it because we had a little breakout on Friday that I didn't even notice until I was going through my charts. Really nice kind of blowout day yesterday. Volume didn't spike up, but again, you've got this oversized deal announcement day that's kind of manipulating the volume bars here. So if I can kind of zoom in and take away, if Thinkorswim will let me, we had some of the highest volume that we've seen since then. So I do like that, and I do like that we're kind of breaking out here. So SPACs are, they're not done necessarily. And if you don't like this one, there's a slew of other SPACs you can play. SHLL. Actually, they just went public. DPHC. If you want to try playing NKLA, they're not really doing much anymore. FMCI. You've got a whole lot of SPACs out there, but I think IPOB is kind of starting to get its legs under it, and we've seen some of these run really far. So if this continuation continues, if the volume comes back, I think this one could be pretty decent.
So they all took a pause, like around October 5th, that red bar when the SEC came out and said that that they were going to look into the way these SPACs are coming to the market, and that if they're, the way the rules are, and make sure there's no, and it followed right after the Nikola report. So I think that that put a little damper into them, but now they're all back going again. So it gave you a nice dip buying opportunity.
Yep, absolutely. So JD is another one I'm watching. They had a couple small things. They're actually doing a spinoff of a subsidiary, and they're going to list them in the Hong Kong market. I don't care about that. What I care about is this nice little daily breakout that we're having here. Kind of similar to the market, but this one held itself a lot better. Did not even approach the 50-day simple moving average. That's pretty good, especially for a retail company like this. Really starting to hold higher. This one's pure technical based for me. There isn't too much else in this one. It's a Chinese-based company, but it's been a beast this whole year. If I kind of zoom out here, it never really got punished during quarantine. This is one of those quarantine names that just continue to go, and all of the quarantine names are kind of re-breaking out right now, and this is one that I think we're catching pretty early. So I think your risk is pretty low on this one. So I'll be keeping an eye on it on Monday. If we can kind of hold ourselves above here, I think it could be pretty decent. You can tell that we kind of wedged our way up here. Now we're breaking out. So if we get above 80, I think the continuation will, or the move will continue. So
yeah, I like JD a lot.
Yeah. One that I'm watching that has not broken out yet, but Asana IPO'd 2 weeks ago and has been baselining right below here, right below the IPO opening print of 27. I like it kind of consolidating down here. Hopefully it goes this week. If not, I'll continue to watch it. I'm looking for it on the upside. It's a cloud-based company. It's a work-from-home-based company. So it's borderline a new IPO quarantine play. So if those names get some more juice in them, if Zoom starts running, Docusign start running, a lot of those cloud-based companies start running, you might get something with Asana, might get some sympathy above 27. So definitely keeping an eye on this one, especially since it's a fresh IPO, and I like the company in general. So going to be something I keep an eye on. If we get over 27, this is the IPO price. It's a pretty decent level to work off of. You've got low risk, and I think you could get going and get into the 30s at least. So
yeah, that's my, it kind of pierced above it a little bit on Thursday, and then it fell back off. So I think the next test above that, it's going to go.
Yep. So another one I'm going to keep an eye on is Jinko Solar. This one's been an absolute monster, obviously. Solar in general has been a monster this year. Jinko Solar's played catch up in September after really good earnings. And ever since then, we just kind of kept going and didn't stop. So really strong day from Jinko Solar in September and now into October. A lot of people are watching this one. That's what I'm going to say. I'm not telling you to buy this one by any means. A lot of people are going to try to short this one. And yesterday they got squeezed out. You had this really nice kind of flag consolidation that people were looking for the short, and they ended up getting blown out. I think this one's going to be in play in both directions. This one's going to be a really good day trader, and this is one that's going to constantly be on my charts this week because a lot of volume's pumping into this one. It's doing a lot of price action, and it's just a beast. It's a little different.
Massive short squeeze. It's also part of the Biden play.
Sure.
So the market's, seeing that, Biden's, looking more and more like he's going to take the presidential nomination. investors have been pouring into those alternative energy type plays.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So gonna be worth keeping an eye on that one. I am looking for a short. I'm looking for that pullback just because that would be a natural thing for the stock at this point. So keeping an eye on that one. And then one last point of clarification, talking about those vaccine names. We talked about NVAX and how I kind of like it that we're breaking out of here. If you don't like NVAX, there's other ones you can watch. Myrna is sitting right up here at the highs. We're kind of wedging up into kind of where we've, ever since selling off in here from August, we haven't been able to regain our footing. Well, we might be able to push back up into here and kind of wedge up. I am bearish on these vaccine names long term, but you got to realize the vaccine names are in the headlines almost every day now because you've got President Trump saying, well, we're getting a vaccine by the end of the year. We're getting a vaccine by the end of the year. I'm going to push it out. And other people saying, well, don't rush it, maybe by next year. So the vaccines and how early they get out there are going to be very in play. Another one that's been very strong is Bntx, actually. This one's the partner with Pfizer, and they are holding up here pretty nicely. And I think if they hold up here, I think we could see them push back up to 100. This is kind of the stronger play right now in these stronger names. So keep an eye on that one. But yeah, so that's pretty much it for me. Those are all the stocks I'm watching. I think we're gonna have a lot of shit in play this week and a lot of fun. It's gonna be interesting to see what the market does with all those headlines. So
yeah, it's going to be interesting, especially considering I'm looking at the economic calendar, this week. So October 12th, it is Monday, Columbus Day.
I have no idea.
Okay,
doesn't matter to me.
Doesn't matter to me either. But we got Tuesday we got consumer price CPI, PPI, but I don't think really Friday retail sales, consumer sentiment may be something of interest, but it's kind of a light week from an economic standpoint for what I'm looking at right now. So I think the problem is we're just extended, but the market can stay extended. It's in full upswing, and let price action be your towel.
Absolutely. Alrighty, well, I think we'll wrap it up on that one. We will see everyone Monday through Friday on our morning market analysis, and Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern with the Vant podcast. Let's see if any of our plays can break out this week, if we can get some action and make some profits. I appreciate everyone tuning in, and as always, safe trading.
Safe trading, guys.
All
right, how do I stop this one?
Ty, you can come down. I don't know. Tyler's been upstairs waiting for me.
How do I stop this? I hit stop recording, right?
Yeah, I guess.